Hey everyone, Dan here, and welcome back to another podcast on the Clacka Chronicles, the episode 55 to be exact. And I'm once again joined by Mr L, who we've done. This is like the third podcast in a row we've done together.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
I just keep getting you on. This is the only way this podcast will survive.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough.
But I think before we get on to this podcast that we're going to do, I have a little like admin kind of thing that I want to address. That obviously this is the first Clacka Chronicle podcast since I did the whole rebrand and like the DCS Media rebrand. This podcast series will kind of stay the same. I don't really feel the need to rebrand it or cancel it. I think it can just carry on, on its own terms. It can stand up on its own two legs. So it will, Clacka Chronicles will continue as it always has done, because I don't really feel the need to change. However, in the same vein of in that announcement, I think you've seen that obviously, my rebrand stuff. I want to kind of branch out and do more things. This podcast is something a bit unique because the thing is, with our podcast, a lot of them are very movie and TV related, either like dedicated reviews like the Mario movie or the general chats. We often talk about movies and TV shows, and I thought, just to do something a little bit different. And I thought another kind of sort of common interest between us, theatre and acting, because it's kind of how we met. So I thought we would do a podcast on that, and specifically sort of like Amdram groups that we've been to together, certain shows that we've done, and also like what we've kind of done post-pandemic and how it's kind of affected us. So yeah, let's get into it. So to start off with, obviously start at the beginning. We're not Quentin Tarantino. We're gonna do it in linear order. So introduction. So how we kind of, I want to talk about first of all how we kind of got involved. Because I've alluded to this before in other videos, I think, but me, Mr. Out, and some other people like Ronnie, we all met at an Amdram group. We all did like amateur dramatic sort of acting and theatre workshops and all that. And I want to sort of briefly discuss kind of how we got into that. So I'll start with this one. So I first started this group sort of beginning of 2018. So I wasn't even doing YouTube at this time. So this was before then. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was before that. So I joined the group. I think it was because I knew somebody who had previously gone to this group, and I was always like passionate about acting. I think I've always loved sort of telling stories, and I think because actors are sort of the face of it, you can tell that story kind of directly.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why I've always enjoyed acting, and throughout the years and throughout all the pandemic and all that stuff, I think the desire for acting, I think, is never going to go away. I really don't think it's going to go away.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but as I say, I started sort of early 2018, and then you came. Was it like late 2018, or when was it that you?
I feel like it was either late 18 or the start of 19.
It was around that sort of end.
I think the start of 19 actually. I'm not sure. It was.
Yeah.
Everything pre-pandemic is like.
It's a blur. But it was around that sort of. It was around the end of year sort of time.
It was winter. It was definitely
that kind of winter. So then you joined along, and so at the group, I don't know how many other Amdram groups there are in the world, or in the UK at least. I know there are definitely lots in the UK, but we were kind of doing workshops, acting workshops, improvisational little exercises, creating little scenes and characters, and just getting to grips of acting techniques and whatnot. And we'd also as well rehearse shows that we would do as well. Actually, I do want to ask you the question that I answered just then. What drew you to acting as well, and why did you want to join the group?
It's hard to tell really at first what drew me to acting. I kind of just always wanted, you're at school, you do all these stupid school plays every year, and it's like I always wanted to be the main. I always wanted to be the lead. I never was, but I wanted it, and I'm still. I like being on the stage. I think at the time I liked the attention, I guess. But I liked the idea of everyone watching what I was doing at the time. But then as I grew, like, the motivation changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually got to a point where I got really interested in some of the classic stuff like the Shakespeare. And I really loved performing A Christmas Carol as well.
Have you done that? Who'd you play in that? Who'd you play in that?
I did. I was Bob Cratchit in Christmas Carol. back when I was in like year 8, I think it was just before I think it was a bit before I joined with the all. But yeah, and I did things like Macbeth. I was King Duncan.
I've done that as well.
Midsummer's quite fun. I was Lysandra.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought, well, I'm going to try and do drama outside school because you only get so much time in school to do acting. So,
and I mean, you only do like one play usually, like one play a year.
Yeah, one a year, and you dedicate like 2 terms to it, and then the other term there's no acting. So
yeah.
It's like,
yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, and it's only for like 40 minutes, and in like the last session of the school day, like once a week. It's not much.
Everybody, I mean, oh sorry.
Yeah, so like I want to try and get into somewhere outside doing. That's where I came across your drama group, and I think my reason for wanting to act has always changed over the years. I think it got to a point where I liked the idea of the fact that as an actor you could tell kind of a story to people and everyone what they wanted to hear, whatever the story was. But I liked the idea of being a different person and getting to kind of just completely become this separate character that you perform as, and you're just, it's escapism in a way.
I agree.
So that's what's ended up becoming one of my bigger reasons for acting. Is just it gives me a chance to be somebody else.
I think that's actually quite a I think that's a fair point that you've made. The kind of escapism element, but also not just for the actors, but also to be able to give that to an audience, having grown up and we love watching films or plays or TV shows, whatever the fact. And the actor, as I said earlier, they are the face of it. They are what you think of when you've consumed a bit of media, and the impression that they are the one. They're kind of they're the ones who give you the impression of whatever the writer or the director wants to give. And I think to be able to do that, it's quite something. And to kind of entertain an audience, make them laugh, make them cry, make them think. I think it's quite special. I think anyway.
Yeah, and obviously like the actors they're the one who the audience connects with. Like, the audience doesn't connect with the person who wrote it, per se, but they connect with the performance it's given.
Especially in theatre, I think, more so in theatre.
Yes, especially in theatre, yeah. Obviously, like, the performance of an actor can make or break any movie.
Definitely.
Like, it's like, pivotal factor of it, and so, like, just acting is, like, it's the main focus when you're watching a movie, and so, like, there's it's escapism for the people watching. You give them the emotion. Escapism for the person performing it. It's just escapism, and I think that's what everyone needs, especially at the moment. It's like we want to escape.
Definitely, and I as I say, I've always loved watching actors do their thing. So to be able to do that as well, I think that's always been an honor, and that's kind of a desire that I think that's kind of what's driven, especially in recent times when I've kind of figured out why I enjoy it. That's very much why. It's to give something to an audience. Yeah, so that's kind of what drew us into acting as well. And another thing as well that I want to mention as well, that I'm not the most outgoing person in the world, but I know for a lot of people, they feel a lot more confident on stage. It just seems effortless. It seems easy. They're really, people can be really comfortable, like actors can be, even if they're not the most outgoing person in the world. And I think back then, especially when I started, I definitely wasn't the most outgoing, and this did sort of boost my confidence a little bit, and definitely made me more confident. And the thing is, with acting and just general media and arts in general, it's a collaborative effort. So you're working with all different people, and I think everybody was just. I can't speak for the prior to me joining, but for me, everyone was like really nice, and just I got on with them really well.
Yeah, same to me when I joined. I got on with them I was more outgoing when I was younger. But somehow being on stage definitely helped me be more confident. I was more confident in whatever role I was doing on stage. So that's fine. But I've had times where on stage, sometimes I've had times where I've been more outgoing or less outgoing, various reasons. And so if I'm really involved with the character that I'm playing, I can go on stage and be really confident. But sometimes it can just not feeling the character, it's hard to get the confidence for it, especially when you're in one of those introverted kind of periods of your life. But like, it does very much help with the company you have as well. If you're in
Definitely.
a good group or that you get on with. Because I have had different productions I've been in where not everyone's got along. It's been very difficult. But obviously, with our group, it was a nice small group of people who just we got along. Good, worked.
Yeah, we got along not only in rehearsing, but also just, I don't say having a laugh, but just chilling, but just being in each other's company. I think we were, everybody seemed comfortable and just like people, we enjoyed it. And I mean, as I say, I've made friends like you, made friends with Ronnie, and the others like I made friends with as well. So that was all great.
Yeah, it was definitely good, and obviously like it was such a nice small group that it was just like, we do some acting, we do some chilling, just kind of like it was a good social thing as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely good, and I'm glad we did it. Honestly.
Yeah. How do you? Here's a question I want to ask as well, because you mentioned about like getting invested in the character. How do you prefer to act? You're not like I know you're not really a method actor, are you? You don't really like you stay in character the whole time. You're not really like that.
Well, I mean, I have had certain times where like I do sometimes try to be more in character, like sometimes in the way I speak. Just outside rehearsal, just try and get into it. But like, I know I don't do that much method, and I mean, I've been interested by the technique, obviously, of being a method actor. It's
I think so.
What Nicholas said. I just but no, like for me, it's like, it's just I don't always need to take long to get into character, but like what I'll do sometimes is if it's something like popular like Beth or Christmas Carol, I will look at loads of different alternate versions of it and try to take what I like from each version and try to put it together into something that feels right for me, that I can embody, make the character my own thing. But like sometimes you just can't get into a character. If you've been dealt a bad hand and you try your best, but sometimes like if there's no existing media of character, it's harder.
It can,
yeah. I've done some things where it's been like an original production, so there's nothing to base it off. There's nothing to redraw from, and it's a lot harder that way.
I mean, I'm not saying you can still kind of draw upon other performances that maybe they're kind of in a similar vein. To say, I mean, I think I said this in a Q&A I did the other day, but say you're doing a comedy performance, you could maybe take inspiration from sort of more comedic actors. Like I gave the example like Robin Williams in that. But you can still take influence in a way, and I think if it's original, you can be a bit more. There is more freedom, but there is also a bit of it can be difficult because too much freedom isn't the best either.
Yeah.
If it's too much freedom, it's just a bit of a mess at the end of the day. So
yeah.
Thing is, with me, I've often found that I can sort of switch on and off. Like, as soon as I walk on stage, I can just be in the character. As soon as I walk off, I can just... I don't know, I guess that's kind of more character acting, but I can just sort of switch on and off quite easily. I don't know whether that's the kind of roles I tend to have, but I think when you mention the whole having more in-depth roles like a Shakespearean production, I mean, I've done Macbeth, and with those kind of more challenging roles, I really like to kind of break down the character, like break down different aspects of them. So when I did Macbeth, I was Banquo, and who is he? So he's a soldier in the war. He's the right hand man of Macbeth. He's best friends, but he sort of notices that he's becoming a bit more. He's being influenced by dark forces of like the witches and whatnot. So it's getting him angry, and the kind of death of the king is getting him angry. However, he's also a father. In the original play, he was a son, but in our version, because of how many male actors we had, Banquo's child was a daughter instead. So he's a father. So he's more kind of caring. So all these elements, I think, sort of, they really influence how you play it, I think. And I like to... It helps to just round the character and whatever character you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely helps. Yeah, break it down like that. I'm not always quite as like thought out when I perform. Obviously, like I mean, I haven't performed in a long time now, but so like, I don't always break as much like that, but I definitely try to find alternate media of character, as many movie versions as I can, of watch what all these different actors will do with the character, and try to draw from that. Like, way before I even joined you guys, I think I was in year 6, I went to the Dudley Festival of Music, Drama and Dance, and I did a monologue from Christmas Carol. It's the scene where Scrooge sees his grave and is pleading with the spirit that he can change.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up the next morning and it's Christmas Day and everything. And I must have watched about 4 or 5 different versions of that scene in Christmas Carol.
Did you watch the Clacka the Geek Christmas Carol?
No, that wouldn't have been out.
It wouldn't have been out then.
This was a long time ago. So I watched, like, and bear in mind, this was the middle of the year. I was watching, like, 4 or 5 different versions of Christmas Carol. Even the more, like, even the less faithful ones, like Scrooge, I would still watch that scene as well. Just, it gets different takes.
Mm-hmm.
But back when I was younger, I wasn't so good at conveying the right emotions and expressions when acting. So obviously, like, I had a long way to go there at that point. So that's one thing I can say I think I've got better at over time.
Conveying emotion.
Yeah, that's been quite a difficulty for me when I was younger, definitely. But, like, honestly, the way I've learned to do that is watching movies and TV and seeing characters do those emotions, like how to kind of replicate them and how to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I would always try and find, like, characters like that are similar to the one I'm doing, or other versions of the one I'm doing, and try to take from those bits of what I need for what I'm doing. Like with stuff like Grace, I'd watch the movie, I'd look at all these different characters, take what I like from each one, and put them together and everything. So that's kind of how I have acting if it's an existing character. Definitely.
Yeah. So now I want to talk about some of the shows that we've done or were meant to do at our Amdram group. So the main one that we were working on for ages was Grease, the famous musical. Obviously, there's the film with John Travolta and whatnot. I actually ended up doing it way after we were in our group, but that was the main show that we were meant to do. So what do we remember from that? What do we remember from that?
I remember that one time when Ronnie stood in a Sandy.
Jesus Christ! Oh no!
It was so funny.
No, the thing is, no, because I was playing Danny. Ironic, I know.
Yeah.
Oh no! I just remembered that. I just remembered that. I completely.
That stuck with me. I never forgot that. That was so funny.
Oh, I remember. Oh no! I just remember like not having enough people to do it. We were working on that for about nearly 2 years, like well before you joined. Yeah.
And then it was another year or 2, and I was there.
Yeah, and then the pandemic kind of knocked it on the head. And the thing is, like, people kept coming and going, so there was never a clear cast, really.
In terms of Greece, I think the pandemic was a mercy kill at that point. Like, it finally put an end to it and said, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So just its ambiguity of will we, won't we?
Yeah, because I never knew when it was happening. We never knew when it was happening. I think the thing is,
because we kept thinking we were getting close, and then someone else left, and then someone else joined, and someone else, and then pandemic. So we never knew.
Yeah, I think it was very much a. I think that was a silver lining. It was just we couldn't do with how little we had, and we were trying to pull off this quite big musical. To be fair, like it's quite you need enough people, and we didn't have that. We didn't have like even 10 people in the cast.
I think we had like, and for most of the time we were sitting around 6 or 7.
Yeah, that was usually the.
If we did it as like a movie where we shot scenes and we had characters in different scenes that we could have people double up or whatever. But on stage, I don't think it was ever going to work with the amount of people we had.
No, and my singing, oh dear. Definitely at the time as well. I'm not even the best singer now, but back then, Jesus wept. I mean, oh no, oh no. I could not sing. I could not at all sing. I couldn't sing Sandy.
I've never been that good at it, to be honest. But like, I think I was worse back then as well.
I've gotten better just because I understand my voice,
Yeah.
but like back then, definitely not. So I don't know why.
My voice doesn't crack anymore.
But I don't know why I was cast as Danny. But the thing is, so we're doing Greece, and we thought we weren't getting anywhere with it. So for a few months during 2019, we decided, well, the group, we would pair up with like another group from a different area of the country to create like a Christmas panto for like November, December of 2019. And it was just before the pandemic. So this panto, so it was called like, it was like Fairy Tale Fiasco. It was like an original show, and it was based around sort of fairy tale characters, but it's sort of like fairy tales gone wrong. So you had like
It was a fiasco, alright.
Oh, it was a fiasco. But you had like characters like the princess, like Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. You had
The ugly stepsisters.
yeah, the ugly stepsisters who were like the panto dames. You had the genie who Ronnie played, and his costume was incredibly unfortunate. It was just like basically cultural appropriation. But us two, let's talk about us two for a minute. We were, I mean, as you can see on the thumbnail, we were sort of we were playing characters Jack and Giant respectively.
Yes.
And they were sort of these like Cockney thugs, we got leather jackets and shades on, and we were kind of like brutish like this, but we ended up just getting captured all the time. We
So we were to be like these like bouncers almost, like
kind of bouncer characters.
The Beanstalk and the Giant.
I remember our introduction scene on because we only performed it the one night, but I remember our introductions. I remember our introduction scene got a good laugh out the audience because I had the sunglasses on. I don't think you did, but I had the sunglasses on, right? When they're saying, "What's your name?" and I say, "And I'm the Giant." On the "and I turn to the audience, take the shades off, and I'm like, "The Giant," and so over dramatized that I remember distinctly it got a laugh out the audience. So win-win in my book.
The thing is as well, you weren't even that much taller than me to be the Giant. Like we were small at the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, now I could probably pull it off, but back then, probably, maybe not.
Yeah, but yeah, so like, and we had this whole bit where basically our characters, like, I think, if I remember correctly, we wanted to get the genie's lamp so that we could get girls.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, yeah. Jesus Christ, this was a fiasco.
We wanted to get girls.
That's going to be clipped out of context. Right, so I don't know where we were going with that. So we've had to literally just do another take because we were completely lost. I don't know. So getting girls or something. Yeah. So I remember it now. So our characters were like these bouncers, and we were trying to get the genie's lamp to get girls. And I think everybody, like all the ensemble characters, they wanted the lamp as well because that was kind of the whole point of the show.
Yeah.
So we were often paired up with the Ugly Sisters, who were kind of like the panto dames of it. I'm not talking about that scene. I'm not talking about that scene, Elle.
We need to.
No. Basically, there was a scene in it that was essentially a Kids Bop version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that is all I'm saying. That is all I'm alluding to.
It was an unfortunate situation.
It was very unfortunate that I did not realise how dodgy it was when we did it.
It was I didn't realise at the time either, but
The
I want to find where the idiot said that we should wear duct tape on our mouths, because when they took that off, it was the most painful thing, honestly.
Wait, what was that? So the duct
tape.
Oh no, I'll get onto that in a. I'll get onto that.
Supposed to happen.
No, we'll get. Okay, that's the story. So that's pretty the highlight of the entire show. So beginning of Act 2. Let me set the scene. So beginning of Act 2, us two have been captured, and we're tied back to back, kind of with a rope. We're sitting back to back, tied, sort of captured.
Just with a rope, nothing else.
And shut up. And then, and we were meant to have like tape on our mouths, but because like health and safety regulations, you can't use actual duct tape. So the curtains come up, right, and we're sat there, and I do distinctly remember that got a laugh out of the audience as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in the lead up to Act 2, nobody could find any tape. So we're like, well, what do we do? And Ronnie, bless his cotton socks, just grabs the first bit of tape that he finds, and it's actual duct tape. And in the scene, it has to get ripped off. And the thing is, I kind of blanked out. I want to hear you're the one who remembers this distinctly, so tell. Do tell.
So, like, I can't believe it was running. Oh my god. So basically,
Yeah.
they got this roll of tape when we're in the wings. They put it on our faces. This was at the time I was starting to develop facial hair.
Oh, I've been doing that recently.
So when they pulled it off, they pulled loads of it off. It was so painful.
Did they actually?
I had to try not to, like, just burst out in a massive scream and you were inside. I had to contain the pain.
Wait, did it actually rip your hair off?
Yes!
Oh my god!
They had, like, the tiny amounts of facial at the time. They just pulled them out.
Oh
It
my...
was so painful.
Oh no! Thing is, I didn't have that at the time. I feel really bad for you now.
You didn't have that problem. I had the little facial hair come in.
Oh.
So I had drag queen pulling duct tape off my face. It was a painful experience.
That's brilliant. So the duct tape thing, that's kind of the iconic story from our time doing this show.
Things.
It is. I think you were kind of scarred from that. But any other stories that we got? I remember some from like rehearsals that when we were rehearsing it in the actual theatre were a bit of a mess because I remember there was one scene where we have the prop lamp. I think basically the genie's lamp from Aladdin. It was like a plastic prop. And we had to, like, a bunch of the characters had to throw it around like, to each other, and we'd have to catch it. And the first time that we threw it, somebody thrown it on the floor and couldn't catch it, and it broke there and then. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, it's just the rehearsals were a bit of a mess, kind of a bit of a scram to get it all done for the night to perform it. Yeah.
Especially when we were trying to rehearse in our group and work with the other group.
Yeah, sometimes some of us would go to their group, but mostly not really.
Sometimes they came to us.
Yeah, no, sometimes they did. Yeah, some of them did.
One of them, I think, came from theirs and then stayed with us. I think
For a good while. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think permanently stayed there, but I think for a while after they did.
Yeah. But it was like trying to record it just trying to like rehearse in just our group was quite difficult as well. Like we would help each other with scenes, playing characters we would never do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall though, I really enjoyed doing it.
I enjoyed 90% of it.
Yeah, I didn't. It makes for a good YouTube video at the end of the day, years down the line.
It's a good story.
It's a good story that I tell everybody. I tell everybody this story of the duct tape and all that. But to be honest, I did enjoy it.
Did you tell them about the whole story though?
No, I didn't.
Did you tell them everything?
No, I didn't tell them everything. But no, overall, I enjoyed it. I think it was quite a really fun show. I enjoyed the characters because it was quite a bit to do. We weren't just like one and done scene. We had
couples.
We had quite a fair bit to do, and I think it was enjoyable. And I think that show was what kind of sparked our kind of friendship because we were like the comedy duo. We bounced off each other, and so I think that's kind of what built a kind of rapport between us two. I think anyway.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, we kicked off pretty quickly. Like when I first got there, we did improv. We kept up pretty quickly, but that definitely like strengthened it was when we were doing the comedy duo.
Yeah. And we had like several. We've got a few in jokes from there, kind of like all ideas that we wanted to put in.
Yeah.
We have like we wanted to because the thing is they had like a bunch of pop songs in it. Like I know "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" by Wham. I know that was in it.
Yes.
I know one of the characters sung that, and there were a bunch of songs here and there. And we wanted to put in like 500 Miles, like have us two sing it. It didn't. I'm kind of glad we didn't because it probably would have been really quite crap, to put it bluntly.
I feel like it was intentionally bad though. Like it just like if you're in on it, how bad it is.
Yeah. Maybe. I think you just have to. But we had a few ideas like that, and I think we kind of operated under the same wavelength. And you know what? Even though in retrospect these ideas are probably best that they weren't in there, I think the fact that this play it was so outlandish that it really did spark that creativity in both of us. Really, I think that's quite a testament.
Well, yeah.
I do think it's a testament.
It felt like we could just do anything really, and it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the show.
Yeah, I think that is a testament to it. Really. Are there any other stories from Fairy Tale Fiasco? Because I don't know what is there anything else?
I don't know if there is from Fairy Tale Fiasco specifically because like it was so long ago. It was a short thing. It's pre-pandemic.
Thing is, it was never. We never. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Since that's done, we got back into Greece. Like, we just got back into old habits of just, we kept trying to go. We kept choreographing all these numbers. I remember I was doing a bit of choreography.
Yeah.
Some of the, we tried to do Greece. We tried to do Greece of the Word, Big Lightning.
I remember. I've actually found. I actually found a Word document on my computer, and I had like some notes from the week. You know, We Go Together, the finale song. I had like choreographed notes of like on like a Word document that I found the other day.
Yeah, not that long ago, I was looking through my laptop and I found the notepads where I wrote the choreography for Summer Nights and for Sandy, because I was helping with that one. And then for, I remember I was kind of co-choreographing Grease Lightning with, we were both kind of doing that one. So I've still got quite a few of the notes from the various choreography bits we were doing. But like, yeah. So I found those not so long ago and I was like, huh, that's a blast from the past.
Hey, nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
So, Fairytale Fiasco, that was, we performed that November, December 2019. I remember that, yeah, and that was great fun. And then after we did that, we went and carried on with Grease, which obviously it was kind of on borrowed time at that point. And then, March 2020, only a few months after, the big Corona comes along, and...
The big Corona!
No, I still call it Big Corona. I think it's funny. But yeah, the COVID pandemic comes, ravages the world, and especially like in that initial sort of, when it first kicked off, the arts were really affected, weren't they?
Absolutely, yes. And obviously the lockdown, they came at such a bad time. Because obviously I was doing Grease with you, right? But at school, I was doing Aladdin the musical. And
I remember you telling me that.
I was Jafar, and I really loved the role. It's one of... It's a shame I never got to perform it. I think it's my favourite role I'd ever done, and I never got to perform it.
I know lots of people who had that.
What happened was that we did all the rehearsals, we did all the shows, and everything. I knew all my lines, I knew my songs. Jafar gets to sing in the musical, which is quite nice, and I wasn't too bad at it. And then lockdown happened the day we were going to be doing our show. We were going to start our show on the Monday 23rd of March, and they locked down after Friday 20th.
Because that's when school shut, wasn't it? That's when school shut.
Yeah, we were that close to doing it at school. They shut everything shut and just never got back to it.
To be fair, I was quite lucky because in like the January I managed to do another school play at that point. Yeah. But then it all went tits up.
Yeah, if we could have just done ours like a week earlier, we were ready enough.
Yeah.
We could have done it.
Like to think it changed. To think it changed like just like that was mad.
The problem as well is a lot of us in it, myself included, were in year 11, which meant it was GCSE year, which meant a lot of us were leaving to different schools.
So you couldn't even continue it?
We couldn't just go back and do it. And I said I would if we could, but obviously I guess too many people left and went separate ways. It never happened. It
never happened. But with our group, we tried to continue it online. We did sort of like Google Classes or something. It never really worked out.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, you can't really do a musical. And the thing is, because we didn't know how long it was going to last, we didn't know how it happened. But in that time, that is when you started Mr L Productions, your channel.
Yeah, because obviously we shut down near the end of March, and I started on the last day of May.
Yes, the 31st, yeah.
31st, yeah, it was the 31st, yeah. So I started on the 31st of May. I needed a hobby, so I just started doing my channel because it seemed like a good thing to do while I was stuck at home during lockdown.
But yeah.
Obviously, it was 6 months we were in lockdown for one, and finally got out in October. September, October.
But how... Because obviously, except for you and Ronnie, I have not kept in contact with any of them from the group. I haven't.
I didn't have any other contacts, so I didn't have any social media at the time.
So I remember you didn't, yeah. No, you know what's really sad as well? One of the last times I remember seeing you in person was me showing you my 50 subscriber video.
Yeah.
That sketch with Clacka the Creep. That's one of the last memories I have like in person with you. It's mad. That's mad.
Honestly, I can't even remember the last time it was happening to everyone.
So I think with the whole kind of COVID thing, and we couldn't act really. We couldn't do any of this stuff that we loved. How did it affect your passion and love for performing, for acting, for theatre? How did it affect you in that way?
it was difficult because a lot of acting.
You're right there.
Yeah, a lot of acting is physical performance, which obviously you don't do when you're not. But when I was showing my YouTube channel, I thought it was a good idea to work on the voice acting side of things. Because, like, one thing to perform physically is another thing to be able to, like, do a voice and convey emotions in voice and everything. So when I started, I was doing walkthroughs of video games. And admittedly, I wasn't very clear to begin with. I tried to do, like, voices with characters. I got better as it went on. I used it as a way to practice that.
I mean, you always do.
Doing, like, different accents and whatever, doing, like, just, like, you know, just trying different things so that, like, when I do get back to acting, I can kind of, like, try and do an accent the worst I can to get into the role. So it was good that I got to keep trying to practice that while I was in lockdown, but physical acting, that took a big hit.
I mean, for me, the closest I ever did for acting for the best part of, like, 18 months was doing my, like, the YouTube channel, doing, like, comedy sketches and all that. That was really the closest I had for acting. I didn't do the first bit of acting I did post pandemic was like for a school opening evening. I had to do a monologue, and I remember then I was thinking, I'm a bit nervous. Have I lost this? But ultimately, it went all right. And then sort of, you know, end of 2021, beginning of 2022. That's when I could really sort of properly get back on stage. I think I mentioned it with Macbeth, but I did that. I ended up doing Grease, but with a different company. If you're curious, I played Vince Fontaine. I was very good at it, you know. Very, you know, had that kind of Roger Moore, James Bond charm, you know. And then since then, I think for me, I've banged on about this film before, but Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it's probably my favourite film. But the main thing of that film, it's living life to the full. And that's kind of how I approached acting post-pandemic. I really just kind of wanted to bask in everything, so I would do the school shows, I would, you know, study it academically in school. I would also do, you know, outside of school shows, and I've done that, you know, since really extent pandemic. I've even done like bits of other bits of performance kind of stuff. So I've done sort of voluntary work. I've like presented like pantos before, like sort of like charity pantos. I've done that. I've even done like work experience sort of backstage of theatre, and like knowing like the technical and business side of stuff. So I've been able to get a sort of more well-rounded view of this industry, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of just like immersed yourself into the kind of the whole world of what it's like.
Because I think.
On stage
oh, sorry.
Behind stage.
Sorry.
Like you did on stage, you did behind stage. You got the gist of like the entire production of how it works. And like I never got the opportunities to study drama at school. They didn't do it at GCSE, and for A-level, you had to have done it at GCSE. That's with different schools with those.
Yeah.
But so I never got to study drama, but I always did as much as I could, like just when possible. So after COVID, we went to school. We didn't do a school play in year 12, but they did in year 13. So, but obviously, like that was quite a while after COVID. Like by this point, we're looking at 2022, which was 2 years later. Yeah. When we got out of COVID and I went to my new school and everything, I joined a different Amdram group, PQA, and that was quite good. It took a while until we actually did anything on stage. Right. When I got in, we were performing this massive London West End musical. So
Jesus Christ.
We went to where was it? Shaftesbury Theatre.
Oh,
this show.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It wasn't a good show. It was some original one written by someone who worked at PQA a while ago. It was not good. It was a western called Troubles Are Brewing in Albuquerque. And
sounds riveting. Sounds riveting.
But it was kind of a western, kind of a whodunit, and it was definitely a musical.
Whoa, Ryan Johnson's been quiet ever since this. And, the new Knives Out film.
So we did this thing, and we worked on it for a very long time.
Yeah.
We worked on it from when I got there which I think I joined in kind of an April, May-ish time. And we worked on that until end of October, start of November.
Oh yeah, I remember you. I remember you mentioned this like way back when.
Yeah, and so that was most of my 2021. And so, unknowingly, I was cast in the role of construction worker.
Oh
Because,
no! Oh
Because, you
no.
know, I don't really know why, because my character wasn't very much of construction. He was kind of just like a property owner or something. He went in, he was talking to the owner of the saloon about, the owner wanted to move to like the big town and have a bigger property there and whatever. That was his dream. So I was more of like a property dealer, really. I didn't realize the significance of why my character was a construction worker.
Thing is, folks, Mr. L has told me this story already. I know where it's going. Do continue. Do continue.
So, our performance was 3 different academies. There was mine and 2 others. We did scene 1 and 4. Another did scene 2 and 5. Another did scene 3 and 6. So I only saw what my group were doing. So I wasn't aware, and let me see if this clips with the viewers, that along beside the construction worker was a policeman, an Indian, a fireman. We were the bloody village people.
Oh my god.
And I didn't realise until after the show. We finished our scene 4. We went backstage to the changing room. We were watching scene 5 and 6 on the little screen.
Yeah, the little monitors, yeah.
On the monitors. And they started doing the village people number, and I was like, what the hell? Was I a village person? And so I got out that night, and I got out and I got to my parents, and they asked me, I didn't know you were playing a village person. I only found out after the play that that's what was really going on.
That's probably more iconic than the duct tape story.
No. Thing is, though, like
that
performance was really difficult, honestly, because
yeah.
At that point, the last performance I'd done was Fairy Tale Fiasco in the end of 2019.
So like nearly two years had passed.
This was end of 21, so this was 2 years, and it was a big thing. It was a massive cast. It was like at least 100 people because we had 3 different academies. My academy was about 70, so it was probably closer to 200 people. And it was a big audience. It's the Shaftesbury Theatre.
How many were watching that day?
Oh, I wish I knew.
Oh.
It was a whole blur, and it was actually as well. This was like the first like musical as well that I ended up doing on stage because we didn't do Grease.
Oh yeah.
With that at the time, and I remember like. And I'm not really afraid now, like before the curtain came up, I was having this whole breakdown because I wasn't sure if I could do this anymore. Because, like...
It had been that long.
I guess I just lost all my confidence during COVID, that I didn't feel like I could do the role. And I knew my lines, I knew everything, something just didn't feel right, I felt like I couldn't do it. And so, like, before the curtain even come up, I was standing there on stage, and I was falling apart, honestly. It felt so hard after COVID, trying to get onto that again. It was really difficult. Honestly, that's the hardest performance I've done, really. It's funny, just the stark contrast at the start of it, how difficult I was finding. To at the end of it, finding out I was a damn village person. Like the contrast.
As I say, there's a silver lining to all of that, eh?
Honestly, like. Once the curtain came up, I was fine. But, like, it was leading up to it, I was really overwhelmed as well because, like, the changing room situation was great because, like, the girls got different age groups, changing rooms. But all the guys, all age groups were shoved into this one, not very large changing room. It's really overwhelming having about 40 people all crammed into this one tiny changing room. Trying to get stuff done. Some of them were really young as well, and they kept causing trouble and whatever. So, like, it was a very stressful day, to be honest. And but you know, it was an experience. I get to say that I performed at the West End at 12 months Shaftesbury Theatre, and that's pretty. That's something. But honestly, like 2 years off did a lot. Honestly, like it changed things.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really had an experience like that personally, so, but yeah, that doesn't seem the best.
It was very difficult, but then obviously once it was done, I did get a bit of confidence back.
Yeah.
I kind of like once the curtain went up, everything was back to normal and everything felt good again. And then I was more interested to keep doing these performances. So I did the next performance with my hand drama group and the performance in my school. And so with my drama group, we were doing a scene from something called The Crucible.
Yeah.
Which the scene we were doing was a trial scene where I was the main judge and we were persecuting these people with witchcraft and everything.
Yeah.
I think his name was Jip Danforth or something.
I know that play has like got like undertones of like communism and like the whole Red Scare stuff of like the 50s with McCarthy and all that crap.
Yeah. And then at school we were doing Annie, a very famous musical about the orphan girl who finds home with a rich
Mate, we all know what Annie's about.
I mean, you'd be surprised that I've told people about Annie, they said, what's that?
Even I know what it's about. What?
Yeah, so I auditioned for that, and it was like, I've not always been the most comfortable with performing on stage in musicals, per se. That's just something else. And I auditioned for it, and whether it was due to if I deserved the role or if there was a lack of male actors, I ended up with the role of Oliver Warbucks, which is exactly what I for. And so I've got these two very contrasting things going on. At the same time as my A-levels, which weren't easy. I picked some really stupid subjects. So I was doing this straight acting set in the old times in America, witch trial kind of role, and I had this more fun role of playing all the Warbucks in this musical.
Basically it was the original Barbenheimer.
It was the original Barbenheimer, honestly. We have a story about an orphan girl and a story about persecuting little girls with witchcraft. The Annie Ball. Yes, the Annie Ball. But yeah, so it got to a point where I was rehearsing above and I was doing my levels, and I was at my drama group, and I went up to the guy and I said, I can't do it. I can't do this role fully anymore because I've got my school play, I've got my A-levels, it's just too much at this point. And honestly, like, having to admit that I'd reached a limit was a big blow on my confidence again, because, like, we don't like to admit when we're defeated by things, but it was too much. It really was. It was... The role I had in Crucible had a lot of really monologue bits that I was struggling to remember everything. So we got to a point where we said, okay, I will do like the first half of the scene, and then I will tag out with someone from the PM group, and they will do the second half of the scene. So that was fine. So I learned the lines for that. And then it got around to it, and I'd already sat some of my A-levels, and I was going through stuff. Then I went to the Crucible, and we did that. I blanked on so many lines, and I was on stage, and I was saying these lines, and I had to call for line, because I couldn't remember stuff. And then I realized that I had to accept that I was going to sacrifice my performance for the Crucible, and it wasn't really where I wanted to be, in favor of my performance in Annie. Because it was at a point where I kind of realized that I have to choose between, do I put more of my effort into the kind of acting that I used to enjoy when I was younger, of straight acting, or do
musicals.
I put my time into the musical, which is more where I was at now. It was more fun. It was more creative in a way. I chose to go more for Annie because that's where my heart was. I wanted to do that, and that ended up being my favorite performance I've ever done. And I put a lot of time into learning the songs and everything. And obviously, I'm not a great singer. I put time into it with my music teacher, trying to learn the notes and trying to make sure it sounded good as well, and learning my lines and everything. And it all just came together. It was I think it was a 2-night performance. It was the last day of June and the first day of July in 2022. And we'd finished school. I just finished my A-levels for the productions. And I was still lingering around in school because I was still doing rehearsals every day. Basically, when I wasn't practicing for A-levels, I was practicing for act.
Mm-hmm.
And it just ended up being the most amazing thing. Everything was right. Everything was... Every little detail was correct. Sure, we did a little improv here and there to fill in any empty spaces while other people remember their lines. Maybe I'd throw something out to kind of keep the minutes fluid. But other than that, it was basically perfect both nights. And honestly, I haven't done any acting since. That was the end of my career so far, and that was a good way to go out.
Pardon the pun here, but you went out on a high note.
I really did. A high note that I had to hold for about, I think, 16 beats, so that was quite difficult.
16 beats?
But,
how?
The final note of Tomorrow was very long.
Blimey.
And there was also bits where I had to jump more than a scale of notes. My range isn't great, but I was really happy to go out on Annie because it was just... In the end, that was what I wanted to do after 2, and that is what worked for me. And I was really happy about that went. Because obviously, since COVID, I had Troubles of Brewing, which was a weird performance for me. I had Crucible, which ultimately, for the first time ever, I failed at my role. I couldn't remember everything. That was a big blow to me. But then I finally got to finish on Annie, and it was just... It's like a redemption arc. It was the perfect way to go for me, honestly.
Perfect.
I haven't done anything since, but I'm hoping at some point, once I can drive and whatever, and I've got a bit more time with work and everything, that I can go to another drum group now.
Have you done any sort of performing related things? Not necessarily plays, but anything else performing related? Or? Not
really, no. I've done very little. I've not done any acting or anything in a long time. It's been more than a year now.
So Annie was the end.
Annie was the end. And I don't know if it's a definitive end or if it's an end for now. But if it's
the end of a chapter. Put it that way.
If it is the definitive end of my acting, I'm happy with how it ended.
That's good.
Because every single one of my performances has been a problem. There's been there was the 2 I told you about there. Fairy Tale Fiasco was a whole thing.
Was a fiasco.
Macbeth and Midsummer were good, except that I was really ill at the time. I kept coughing off stage and on stage, which was horrible. Christmas Carol was just... There were issues where people forgot lines. So I never really had good performance, but then I finished on Annie, which was good. So I'm happy that is the end of me acting, but hopefully it's not, but if it is, I can live with that, because I'm happy with how it is, to be honest.
That's actually a really quite... I don't really have anything else to add to that. I think that is a great note to end on, and just, that's actually great. I think I'm going to talk about now kind of where I'm at with acting, because you've talked about where you are. You've kind of moved on, but as I was saying, I'm kind of immersed in it. And there's a great line from the Jersey Boys, the musical Jersey Boys. I've become obsessed with that musical, and if I could, that's a musical that I would love to be in. But basically, there's a line towards the end of it, because it's obviously about the Four Seasons band and whatnot, and their trials and tribulations. And there's a line at the end when they're sort of in their old age, and Frankie Valli, the main character, he's basically saying, that's why I'm still out there. Like that bunny on TV with the battery, I just keep going and going and going. Chasing the music. Trying to get home. And I think that kind of sums up my mentality of I want to just make the most of what I can, because I know that it's not forever. I know that it won't last forever. And so I want to do as much as I can. I'm currently working on a couple of shows, both with school and outside of school, but these next shows I'll be doing will probably be my last for the time being. I still want to try and pursue other Amdram groups, but I think right now, I need to just sort of turn it down and just move on. Maybe not just from acting, but just move on to different areas and move on to maybe different groups, find someone else. And I think it's healthy. I think change is good and healthy like that. So, yeah. But, now I think that's kind of everything that we have to talk about. I don't really, we're up to date now. We did it in chronological order,
Yeah, we got through it all. We just point done. We've covered all the past, present, and more recently stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I think just looking back on the different shows that we've done, whether it's the ones that we've done like Fairytale Fiasco or shows that both me and you have done in the years since and whatnot. I've got to say that doing Greece is probably my favourite, purely because of coming out of the pandemic. I didn't feel like we can actually do it, and the fact that we'd finally been able to do it, it did feel like an achievement, and something I'm still genuinely proud of.
Yeah, for me it's similar with Annie. It's like the first thing I really got to enjoy when I got out of the pandemic, and it was the finale for me. It was just, I mean, I love doing Aladdin as well, but ultimately we didn't get to film it, which was a shame. But like, because we didn't film that, my favourite's definitely Annie, and it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah. I think a lot of the ones I've done, I've really enjoyed. Like Macbeth, I think I've mentioned that before, but I love doing that. That's probably the one I'm most proud of in sort of the acting thing. Little Shop of Horrors, that's like a favourite musical of mine anyway, and so doing that was also really fun.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's everything that we got covered. So I hope you. Oh, sorry. Hey.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
That's all we got time for today, folks. So I hope you enjoyed this like kind of different podcast. No, it's quite long. Blame Mr L. It's his fault. It's his bloody fault.
Well, excuse me.
I'm only joking. But yeah, overall, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got any questions about what we've talked about, leave it in the comments and all that. Leave us a like. Check out Mr L's channel, and we'll see you around.
Yeah, it's been fun to be back on.
It has. So, take care, folks, and bye-bye.
See ya.